Hi, I'm Dex, and I'm here to talk with you today about therapeutic spiritual counseling, as I call it, and a basic uh, description of what it's all about, as I'm doing it anyway. So let's start out with what's the basic premise? The basic premise is that I'm here with my purpose being to help you, the client, accomplish what you hope and intend to accomplish through the counseling sessions. It's what you're here for, that I am here to facilitate and help you accomplish. That being the goal, what we want to do is help to deconstruct the, uh, the things that get in the way of that, and also to build on the positives. Now, a lot of what I do is based on my own developed applications of something that is known in the Dianetics and Scientology world as power processing. However, I apply it very differently with, I think, a broader stream of knowledge behind it. But let's talk about the development of this. It's a very interesting and very valid thing. You see, when Dianetics first arrived on the scene around 1950, it was quite a development. It was a way of finding and resolving traumatic experiences that affected a person badly. And around a few months after the Dianetics book was released, being that this has always been a subject in development, at least through the 70s, was a particularly direct and useful instruction to give a client. And it went like this. The file clerk will now give us the incident necessary to resolve the case. So what does this mean? Well, in the paradigm of Dianetics, everything is explained as being a result of traumatic incidents. Okay, the way I look at things, we've got some negative energies that directly oppose our goals to be happy and successful in various ways. And the clay that is those energies can be shaped and then perceived in this way as incidents. It can be shaped and perceived as any number of ways, as angels and devils. It can be shaped as other entities or beings affecting the person, and through various different techniques and various different approaches that tend to give the person an indoctrination in seeing their negative emotional and spiritual material in a particular way. They then offer a particular technique working on the assumption of those ideas about what one's negative material is, being incidents or whatever else. So in Dianetics, everything is basically explained as coming from traumatic incidents that are one is not fully conscious or mindful of affecting them in one way or another. Not really a new idea, but Dianetics did have a lot of new wrinkles in the approach, in a very mechanical sense for the most part. But anyway, speaking about that paradigm, the incident necessary to resolve the case is the idea that we will bring forth that particular negative material in Dianetics, the incident or incidents, okay, that are bringing about the negative material that most dominates the client's consciousness, most affects the person in a negative way. The file clerk will now give us the incident necessary to resolve the case. So when we say the case, in Dianetics or Scientology terms, we are talking about the whole sum of negative energies affecting a person badly. That's how I would explain it. Okay, in their parlance of Dianetics, they call it the whole sum of bypassed charge. It's another way of saying the same thing, really. Okay, now the file clerk. In Dianetics, there is recognition that there is something within a person that, when addressed and asked for some material within the mind, can produce it. In this particular paradigm of Dianetics, it is considered to be a mechanism, a servo mechanism that can be controlled by the counselor, or in Dianetics terms, auditor. And so this instruction to the client, the file clerk will now give us the incident necessary to resolve the case, is addressing this instinct or ability, which Dianetics considers to be a mechanism to be used, and telling it to bring forth that negative material which most dominates the person's consciousness. Now, this is something that we very much need to do. I'm here to help you to accomplish your goals for this session. You know what you want to accomplish through the processing, through the counseling, and what we're dealing with here is the goals that are most important for you. And the things that you're complaining of that are disturbing you the most, do so because they are deflecting back your drive and your energies to accomplish the goals that are most important to you. So the negatives are actually the same energy as the positive thrust of the things that are important to you, your goals, deflected back in the other direction to oppose them. That's what we're dealing with. So that which directly opposes that which is most important to you at this point in your life, at this moment, is, in Dianetics terms, the incident necessary to resolve the case, but more simply, without necessarily dressing it up as an incident, which is just one way to shape that energy. It's the material that's most dominating your consciousness negatively. Now, along with this idea, with further development in that particular paradigm of Dianetics and Scientology, and we won't speak here about the pluses or minuses. We're not here to judge Dianetics or Scientology in any black and white way. I used to consider myself a Scientologist. I've now evolved and grown beyond those ideas. But anyway, there's a lot of value, a lot of benefit mixed in with a lot of other things in that. But to continue, okay, what Dianetics calls the file clerk, I see this as it's just your own ability and your own instinct and your own drive, and I just call it your spiritual compass. So what we want to accomplish in a session is to allow your spiritual compass to present that which most needs to be digested and accepted and fully brought out, so as to, again, to digest the negative energies that are opposing the goals and convert them back into the positive thrust that lets you know you can accomplish your goals and you can accomplish the states of being that are important to you. So what I call this, again, is a spiritual compass. And in Dianetics, a further development, which we call power processing, actually made use of this principle from 1950 in Dianetics. Power processing was developed in 1965, so this was 15 years later, but is actually very simply based on the idea of finding the material necessary to resolve the case. In Dianetics, the incident necessary to resolve the case. And it uses this question. It uses, tell me an existing condition. And through addressing you through your spiritual compass, the existing condition, let's define what we mean by the existing condition. In terms of negative material, the existing condition is that negative material which most dominates your consciousness. And simply asking for an existing condition will bring this forth. You may repeat the question several times to get through some related material to this actual negative material that is most dominating your consciousness, but it would all be related to that. It will all be the same energy. And so we say, in the original form, not as I use it, but as it's used in Scientology, tell me an existing condition. We are now addressing that spiritual compass and asking it, and basically allowing you to allow your mind to present that which most needs to be accepted and mentally digested by you and spiritually digested by you. The reason that the negative material and all its unwanted sensations and feelings and attitudes persists and carries forward through time is because of the instinct to bury it, to oppose it, to not experience it because of the unpleasant sensations and feelings of it. But in reality, that's what will resolve it. It's as if your negative material was demanding to be accepted. And once it's accepted fully by you and digested, it's not protesting, it's not getting in the way of your goals anymore. That's actually how it functions. So what we're accomplishing here is to bring forth that condition so as to finally just accept it and process it, and just digest it. Now, here's another way to think of this term condition, which I think will hit home. The condition, in a negative sense, is that negative material that for you is always here. It's always present within you. There's some part of you that always senses it hovering there within you. That's what we mean by the condition, that negative material that is, quote unquote, always here for you. So this is actually a very simple process, the way I do this. Once we open this up fully, and of course we're providing a context in which you know you can safely let this out and experience it, because I'm here with you, I'm experiencing it with you, I'm not judging. There is nothing you can present that would be unacceptable. This is not a social context. There's no such thing as something being unacceptable. I believe that the reason that sometimes it is socially unacceptable, or generally socially unacceptable, for a person to express a lot of distress and disturbance, and why people find that off-putting, is because in the other person, it's resonating with their own similar energies of disturbance and distress. And so when other people are acting unaccepting of you, distancing themselves from you when you're expressing such things, what they're really doing is distancing themselves from their own negative energies. That's what they're trying to do. So it really shouldn't be taken personally. But in a perfect world, we would all be completely accepting of what another person was experiencing and presenting. And then we might not need counseling sessions at all. And I'd be very happy if that was the case, but it's not. So I'm very happy to do what I do and help out in the way that I do. So again, I will have you, the client, tell me what's happening for you. That's where we'll start from. I'll have you describe for me what is that negative material that is always here for you, or seems to be, okay? And have you articulate that particular condition. Something like, I feel like I'm suffocating around women, or I feel very anxious, I feel anxiety with authority figures, whatever it might be. But we'll get your exact way of articulating that. And then I'm going to give that back to you. Okay, so tell me a condition encountered of I feel anxiety around authority figures, or however you would express it. See, by my using your terms, it's going to hit home. It's going to make it much easier for your spiritual compass to deliver what we need it to and what it wants to. And then you can express all the negative feelings, sensations, and attitudes. And I will simply invite you to completely unclench your physical muscles, unclench your mental muscles, relax, become effortless, and just allow these energies to permeate and fully accept them and let them digest and diminish and disperse. This doesn't mean to try to do anything to make these energies go away or disperse. It doesn't work that way. All you need to do is accept and allow what you've been resisting. And it takes a certain quality in a counselor to make you feel comfortable enough to do this. And that's my job, and not only my job, others as well, I'm sure, without a doubt. Anyway, that's basically what we're doing. We're going to do the same thing with the energies of your resistances to this material, every way that you've tried to suppress it or characterize it some other way than it is, or whatever you've done in a reaction to these negative energies. Because that effort you've put into doing that holds them in place, so that effort itself also must be permeated and digested. It's just the simplest thing in the world. It's just simply have it and let it be within you and just feel it. It would be like if you ate something that was very hot and it was in your stomach and just relaxed and let it cool off. That's what it amounts to. That's basically what it is. I mean, I could say I'm simplifying a little bit, but not really. That's just about what it is. Also part of the process, because this energy really does come from your positive goals. That's what drives you. That's why you're coming to the sessions. That's why it disturbs you that you have these negative feelings, because they oppose what you want to be, what you want to have or do, or whatever your goals for yourself are, whatever state of being or way of being or abilities or qualities that you feel you should have or need to have. The negatives actually derive all their thrust from your positives. It's the same energy, and very often in this process, the client will realize that. You'll say, wow, it's the same energy. It's the same thing. And it's an amazing reaction. It's a very relieving, and it can even be kind of euphoric. But anyway, so we're also going to use the same approach as part of the same process in whatever the underlying positive thrust is. What is the desired, effortless, serene goal or state? And so that might be something like fully confident and comfortable in my own skin and able to allow others to express and present as they are comfortably. Okay, so then I would say, all right, tell me a condition of being completely comfortable in my own skin, etc., however you articulated it. And the person will then describe those feelings. On these questions, a person may come up with incidents, or they may come up with feelings or ideas. Whatever those energies manifest as for you. This is a very important point. I don't believe in indoctrinating a person into the idea that their negatives are any particular thing, incidents or devils or angels or other entities or beings that have influence over them or some kind of demons. All of these and many other ideas people have for themselves. And it's best processed by empowering you to just express things as you create and perceive them, not overlay any other ideas on yours, because that's the opposite of empowering. It's the opposite of empowerment. It gets in the way of accomplishing your goals. We want you to feel as big and expansive and powerful and safe and free and capable as you ultimately are, and there's a part of you that knows this. So to have you rely on my description of your energies is a negative. It sort of makes you trust an external source when you should be trusting yourself. I believe that all therapeutic spiritual counseling should be in the direction of empowerment. Trust your spiritual compass. It will never steer you wrong. It's you. It's not a mechanism. It's not something to be controlled by the counselor. So when we ask for the underlying goals and the positives, these will flower. These will come to the surface. And they are more important than the negatives. It's more important to build on the positives. So again, any philosophy or approach that particularly focuses on the negatives is sort of a never-ending ditch-digging process. It's very important to understand that the positives are what's underlying, and the positives are really the point. We don't want merely an absence of negatives. That'd be boring. Okay, so there's the part of this where we have you articulate and experience the positive feelings and energies and creations, and using those to build on. That's a very important part of this process. So as we continue with this, eventually we'll reach a point in the process where a person no longer feels the interference or presence of the negatives. They will seem to be completely unimportant, or they will seem to be not a problem, but in one way or another, there will be a realization and a great relief and a feeling like these things never should have mattered in the first place. And that they actually knew it all the time, possibly, and that it was one's own energy and that it was the same energy. That's what we are looking to accomplish. And again, unlike other approaches, unlike, for instance, Dianetics and Scientology, I have a background in that, so I refer to that, and a lot of my client base has a background in that. But it is completely unnecessary for our purposes. It's completely unnecessary for my clients, many of whom have no experience or familiarity with that idea. But anyway, what I'm doing to a large degree derives from some of what I learned along that path in my journey. So what we want to accomplish, again, is the positives. What we want to accomplish is whatever your goals are for the processing, and all the answers lie within you. And my job is basically to invite you to express and present those items and that negative material that directly relates to your positives and your goals for the processing. And it has to be experienced to be fully appreciated. And now I'm frequently in the role of mentoring other counselors in how I apply this technique. And it's an honor to do so. But for now, I just wanted to go over the essence of one of the main techniques that I use, which we call power processing. Although that's a Scientology term, and although we are not doing it the way it's done through Scientology, for now we will render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Essentially, what we are doing is we are allowing that negative material which most dominates your consciousness to be fully expressed and fully experienced and fully digested, to give way to the redirection towards your positive goals, which these negatives are really fueled by in opposing your positive goals. We're just reconverting your drives. It's your drive to accomplish your goals, which drives your success in the counseling. I'm just here to give you a few hints and invite you to go ahead and process what is here for you. It's really very simple. So that's where we'll end for today on the subject of therapeutic spiritual counseling. There is other material relating to this. Sometimes in doing the technique of this power processing, a terrific moment of shock can emerge, and a complete shutdown of ability to connect with the material is inherent in tripping open a moment of shock. So there's a specific technique which we would then shift to in the case of that happening. We also run into your protections. We run into the thoughts, ideas, and attitudes you've generated as a shield to try to protect you from the fears and unpleasant sensations and worries of the negative material. And those shields, once in place, which I refer to as stubbornly held protective attitudes, will prevent you from being able to process the negative material. So these manifest in certain ways, and for me as an experienced therapeutic spiritual counselor, I'm going to recognize this mechanism emerging, and so then we will use the technique that will dismantle that mechanism, which is also fueled by your negative materials, which are really fueled by your positive goals again. There's more to know. There's other complexities and other spiritual architectures that derive from a need to respond to your negative materials. And it is all resolvable. And it's fun to do it. my personal philosophy is to always have fun with what we're doing. That's where we'll leave it for today on today's talk on therapeutic spiritual counseling. I invite anybody and everybody to experience a free session if they'd like to. If you'd like to do more, that's great. And if not, I'll still be very happy to have had that experience with you. Have a great day and always have fun. And this is Dexter Gelfand signing off for now.